Hello everyone, my name is Burhanuddin Rashid and I am a software engineer specialized in building mobile application. I started my career as an Android developer, building native application for around 5 years in Java and Kotlin. And from past 3 years, I've been building application in Flutter, which is basically a Google cross-platform framework, which allows you to build application on Android, iOS, Linux, web with a single code base. And I'm also a Google developer expert in Flutter and Dart. So after procrastinating for around a month, I'm finally recording this face-to-face video. And as a developer, we tend to procrastinate a lot when we see a legacy code. We always say that we'll fix this code later, but that later never comes. And this happens because of several reasons, which we are going to cover in this course, and also their solutions. So before we jump into our course, which is basically testing and refactoring legacy code in Flutter, and asking question like what course this will cover, what lesson it will has, how much hours of content we have in this, what topics we'll cover, I need to answer a bigger question here, which is basically why I'm creating this course, what's the story behind this course, and what problem it tries to solve. Because without answering this question, I think we'll be completing this course, but we won't be having any direction to go for. And this will be just another tutorial hell where you will be just watching tutorial after tutorial, but you won't have any direction to go for. And at the end, it will be just pointless. So I don't want that. I want to have a long lasting value from this course so that you can use in your day-to-day professional work. And at the end, you can basically ship things faster with confidence. So let's get to my story. I completed my CS degree in 2014 and I started my career in 2016 as an Android developer. But to be honest, I didn't knew the difference between a function or a class in a Java. To me, if I have a class and a function with a similar name, and on the calling side, if someone create instead of that class and call that function, it was very hard for me to differentiate between what is exactly the class and the function. And you might be wondering, what, you have a CS degree and you don't know basic difference between that? And yeah, I didn't know. And this happens because of two reasons. One is basically our education system, which is basically focuses on marks and how to clear the exams. So we were more focused on just reading a 5-year papers and just clearing the theoretical exam and just mugging up the code in the practicals to get clear the exam. And this is why I didn't know the difference between those basic functions. And this is the case with most of the student engineers and in the software companies. And the another point was that there was no proper guidance or a mentorship to have so that they can guide us that okay, you should learn this and go that, and you should try this and that. There was no guidance. And to be honest here, even if it was there, I was so lazy that I wouldn't take or listen to their advice anyway. So this would be a problem for me anyway. So because of this, I used to work in very ad hoc fashion. I used to get feature requests in a 101 chat, and there was no requirement analysis or anything specification or something like that, just like a one-liner thing that you need to build a login feature. But whenever we used to ask for a requirement, the reply come from the upper side was there, you don't need any requirement, just get started with this whatever we are providing. So basically we were not having any requirement, and because of that we start to coding right away without asking much questions, because we didn't have those requirements. So we just start coding it and keep doing it until we get into a releasable mode. There was no manual or automatic testing from a developer perspective. So whatever we are building, we are just hoping that it would just work as expected in the QA phase, and we won't have any bug fixes there. So there was no quality assurance from a developer perspective, and we were relying too much on a QA to find a bug and just tell us that this is the functionality not working, and then fix it again and send it to back them to again. While this approach worked for MVP and small project, as the team started to grow and app started to grow, the number of features started to grow, things become really messy. I still remember that one of the tech lead scolded me in an open space for around 2-3 hours because I appended a test string in the notification bar. So yeah, so unfortunately I didn't learn anything from there, and then I switched the company, and I work as a team where there were multiple developers working on a same project. They used to call it trunk based development, but basically it was a single dev branch and everyone was merging their code, and it was a chaos there. There was no way to verify what's working or not. Everyone was fixing something, coming a bug from a release or a feature, and they were just pushing everything on a dev branch. There was no feature branch or a separate branch to work on. And because of that, whenever I used to take a pull from a dev branch, I just pray to God that it doesn't break anything in my code base. And this is where I really learned how to pray. And this is where I started to see a pattern where developers are building a features, but there was no way to verify that whether it's worked properly or not. Everything comes to an end. So whenever we share everything, integrate and everything share with the QA, they give a bug and then we fix it again. And it was a very long feedback loop. And even if we do a manual testing each time we make a small change, it was really time consuming, especially when your app started to grow and you have more developer on the same project. And this is the time when one of my colleague suggested a book called Clean Code, and this is changed my perspective on how I develop software. And this is the kind of guidance I was looking for. And after reading this book, I came across different terminology like TDD and refactoring and agile development and all those things, which got me interested. And I read 3 more books, which is basically working effectively with legacy code, refactoring, and basically TDD, basically a test driven development on how you write tests first before you write a production code. So my course usually inspired from these 3 books. Whatever tools, techniques, whatever I have defined in this course are directly derived from this book, and just added a little bit of my version to it. And then I just practice, keep doing it again and again. I failed miserably at the start, but I keep practicing it until I got better at it. And this is where I learned how to write a test for a new feature or a legacy code, to do a proper refactoring, do a test development to find bug very early on, and then which allows me to ship things faster with confidence. This is why I created this course, which is basically learning from my mistakes and try to create a course to a real world example as close as possible. So in this course you learn how to write a test for a legacy code. Legacy code is nothing but a code without test, because talking about real world scenario, the chances are that you will land up on a project where you won't have any test cases there. And this is the first blocker for any developer, because they don't have any test to learn from, and they don't know how to write a test. So this is basically a catch 22 kind of a situation. So this is where we'll break that blocker and learn how to write a test for a code which doesn't have any test before. And then after creating that safety net and having those tests around, we'll run refactoring techniques to make our design better. This is just not about just renaming a method or a class, but it's more about how to do a small step-by-step process to do a refactoring without breaking too much into a code and using test as a safety net. As we know that what get measured gets improved. So if you are doing all those things but you don't have any way to measure it, then I think it will just fall apart. So in this section, in the last section, we'll learn about how to measure your progress using a code coverage tool. Basically see how much code you have been covered so far, what value it provide, and how refactoring is changing the structure of that code, and many other things. So to summarize, in this course I'll teach you how to write test for a legacy code in Dart and Flutter using different testing and refactoring techniques to make your existing design better, and measure your progress using a code coverage tool, so that in the end you should be able to confidently ship app faster. And this is the end goal of this course. Now you might be wondering why I choose Flutter compared to other languages and frameworks out there. The reason is very simple. First, because I have experience in building mobile application Flutter, so that I can easily explain those concepts. And second thing, in order to explain a concept in a real world example, you need to choose a particular language or a framework to explain that concept. And Flutter is a good choice here is because it is pretty much new and it follows all the new declarative UI paradigms. Also it uses a language called Dart, which is a combination of static and dynamic type of language, so it will be easy to understand how we can write test for both kind of type system, basically dynamic and statically typed. And it also have a component and widget based structure which we have in other frameworks like React, Swift UI, and Jetpack Compose. And it's also allow us to have a testing, component based testing, snapshots testing, screenshots testing, all kind of that new shiny stuff, so that it would be really helpful for your upcoming projects. However, if you learn the concept, then regardless of framework or language, you can apply those same concept to different framework or languages. So in that case, it really would be helpful for you to use this existing knowledge into other tech stack. And since nobody is perfect, I may have made a lot of mistake, and let me know if any part of this course you don't understand or you might find it confusing, or if I have done it completely wrong. I'm open to suggestions, so do let me know in the comments, or you can DM me on any social media platform if you have any question. Thank you. So if you like this video, then please like, share and subscribe. Thank you.